The story starts in a suburban American neighborhood, one of those places where maple trees line the streets, the mailboxes tilt slightly from years of use, and kids' bikes lie scattered on green front lawns. It's early morning, 7:30 a.m. to be exact, and the golden October sun spills over rooftops in a sleepy cul-de-sac in Columbus, Ohio. The air is crisp but not cold yet, the kind of weather where neighbors wear light jackets while sipping steaming mugs of coffee on their porches. Inside a two-story brick house with white shutters and a small American flag fluttering at the edge of the driveway, Daniel Parker, a mid-30s office worker with neatly pressed khakis and a button-down shirt tucked in too tightly, paces nervously in his living room. His tie hangs loosely around his neck. The house is modern but modest, beige walls, family portraits above the mantel, a couch that has clearly survived a few juice spills from kids, and the faint smell of last night's pizza reheated in the microwave. On the oak coffee table sits a thick stack of papers, the draft of a quarterly presentation Daniel has been working on for weeks. It's supposed to be the kind of report that might earn him a promotion if he impresses his boss today. He checks his watch, 8:05 a.m. His meeting is at 9:30. He needs to leave by 8:45 to avoid rush hour madness on I-71. But there's one problem: the last and most important document, the final summary sheet, refuses to print. The hum of the printer echoes from his small home office, a cramped space near the staircase decorated with a few framed diplomas and a motivational poster that says, "Patience is not the ability to wait, but how you act while waiting." Ironically, Daniel has never paid much attention to that poster. The machine whirs, groans, and then stops with a loud clunk. The screen flashes those dreaded words, "Paper jam. Open tray 2. Daniel runs a hand through his neatly combed brown hair, instantly messing it up. Now, if you've ever been in an American household on a busy weekday morning, you know this scene too well. The clock ticks louder than usual, the traffic app says, heavy congestion, and suddenly, one piece of stubborn technology decides it has the power to ruin your entire day. In Daniel's case, that villain was his home printer. A boxy machine he had bought on sale at Best Buy last year, promising himself it would make life easier. Oh, the lies we tell ourselves when the packaging says, wireless and fast. Daniel kneels down, pulling open tray 2. A single sheet of paper is crumpled inside, wedged like a stubborn child refusing to leave a playground. He tugs at it, too hard, and the paper rips in half. Great, just great, he mutters under his breath. From the kitchen, his wife Melissa, wearing a navy hoodie and leggings, sipping her caramel latte from Starbucks, calls out, "Everything okay in there?" Daniel forces a smile that she can't see. "Yeah, just peachy. The printer decided to hate me today." Melissa chuckles, unfazed. "Maybe it's teaching you patience." Daniel groans. "Not funny, not today." Their 8-year-old son, Ethan, still in pajama shorts with bed hair pointing in all directions, runs down the stairs holding his iPad. "Dad, can I print this Minecraft skin template?" Daniel turns sharply. "Not now, buddy. Daddy's fighting for his job here." The boy shrugs in that way only kids can, completely unconcerned with adult meltdowns, and plops on the couch. Daniel digs deeper into the printer, sweating a little though the morning air is cool. He presses buttons, opens trays, flips the whole machine slightly to check the back panel. It buzzes, makes false promises of working, and then blinks the same error, paper jam. Please clear. The clock reads 8:22. And here's the thing about patience, it's not born in peaceful, calm environments. It's forged in the tiny, absurd battles of everyday life. In America, people pride themselves on efficiency. Drive-through lanes, express shipping, microwavable dinners, it's all about speed. But when a simple machine refuses to cooperate, suddenly time stretches like chewing gum. Every second feels like an insult, and the thought of breathing slowly and letting things be. Well, that feels impossible. Daniel slams the top cover shut. Why me? Why today? Melissa leans in from the kitchen doorway, her blonde hair tied in a messy bun, her tone calm but teasing. Maybe it's not why you, Daniel. Maybe it's why not you. He shoots her a look. You sound like a fortune cookie. She shrugs. Fortune cookies are right sometimes. Meanwhile, outside, neighbors are beginning their routines. Mr. Howard, the retired Marine across the street, waters his lawn in jeans and a baseball cap, humming to himself. Amanda, the college student next door, jogs past with her AirPods in, neon sneakers hitting the sidewalk rhythmically. The world moves on. Nobody else seems to be in a crisis over a sheet of paper. Daniel pulls out his phone and Googles, How to Fix Printer Jam HP OfficeJet. He clicks the first YouTube video, narrated by a cheerful tech guy who makes it sound simple. But when Daniel mimics the steps, nothing changes. The jam remains. At 8:37, his patience breaks. He stands up, staring at the uncooperative printer like it's a personal enemy. "Okay, listen, pal," he mutters, wagging a finger. "You don't control me. You're just plastic and wires. I'm the human here." Ethan, from the couch, giggles. "Dad's arguing with a robot again." Melissa shakes her head, amused. What Daniel didn't realize in this heated moment was that the printer wasn't just testing his ability to get paper out of a machine. It was testing his ability to manage frustration, to balance urgency with calm, to practice the one skill his poster had been hinting at for years: patience. And patience, as every American knows deep down, isn't about waiting on the porch for the mailman. It's about how you behave when life decides to slow you down. Daniel finally takes a deep breath. He closes his eyes, loosens his tie, and sits on the edge of the couch. "All right," he sighs. "New plan." Melissa raises an eyebrow. "Which is?" "I'm going to fix this printer like an adult, with calm, logical steps." "Wow," she teases. "Growth in real time." Daniel ignores her and carefully reopens the tray, slowly pulling at the crumpled paper, this time with gentleness instead of force. Piece by piece, he removes the jammed sheets. At 8:46, 1 minute after his planned departure, the machine whirs back to life. Out slides the printed summary sheet, crisp and clean as if nothing had ever gone wrong. Daniel grabs it like a trophy. "Yes, victory." Ethan claps sarcastically. "Dad beat the printer." Melissa smiles knowingly. "And maybe the printer beat Dad into learning something." Daniel smirks, shoving the papers into his briefcase. He kisses Melissa on the cheek, ruffles Ethan's hair, and heads for the door. "Lesson learned," he says. "Don't fight machines. Fight your impatience." The autumn wind greets him as he steps outside, briefcase in hand, the scent of damp leaves in the air. Neighbors wave, dogs bark, cars rev their engines in driveways. It's another typical American morning, but for Daniel, the battle with the printer has planted a seed. Sometimes life doesn't give us mountain-sized lessons. Sometimes it gives us tiny tests, like a printer jam on the day of an important meeting. But hidden in those moments is wisdom. You don't always control the timing of life, but you do control your patience, your calm, your response. And in the quiet victory of fixing a machine without losing yourself, you find the first step toward growth. Daniel Parker walked out that door not just with a report in hand, but with a little more patience stitched into his character. And patience, unlike paper, never jams. The drive to downtown Columbus takes Daniel a little over half an hour. Traffic is thick, as expected. Commuters inch forward, brake lights glowing red in the autumn sunlight. Coffee cups balance in cup holders, radios buzz with news updates about politics and sports, and drivers occasionally honk not out of necessity, but habit. Daniel taps his steering wheel lightly to the beat of a classic rock song, breathing slower than usual. He remembers the moment from less than an hour ago, the paper tearing in his hands, his son giggling, Melissa's teasing remark. He almost laughs at himself. A printer jam may seem like the smallest of life's battles, but sometimes, those little lessons echo. Daniel hadn't realized it yet, but the patience he practiced at home was going to be tested again today, on a much bigger stage. He arrives at the company parking garage at 9:18 a.m. His office building is a tall glass tower that reflects the Ohio sky, surrounded by a mix of food trucks, busy crosswalks, and professionals hustling with backpacks and lattes in hand. He grabs his briefcase, straightens his tie, and strides toward the revolving doors. Inside, the lobby buzzes with energy. Colleagues chat near the elevators, security guards greet regulars, and a faint scent of cinnamon from the cafe wafts through the air. Daniel presses the elevator button and rides up to the 12th floor, rehearsing in his head the key points of his presentation. At 9:27, Daniel walks into the glass-walled conference room. His team is already there. Lisa, the sharp and witty marketing manager. Mark, the numbers guy with glasses perpetually sliding down his nose. Sandra, the calm HR director, and at the head of the table, Mr. Coleman, their boss, mid-50s, always impeccably dressed in a navy suit, reputation for being demanding but fair. Right on time, Coleman says with a slight nod as Daniel sits down. The meeting begins. Mark runs through financial charts, Lisa outlines creative campaigns, Sandra updates on staffing. Then it's Daniel's turn. He opens his briefcase and carefully lays out the printed pages, the ones he'd fought so hard for this morning. He begins with confidence, pointing to the graphs, explaining trends, highlighting strategies. His voice steadies, his gestures calm. For the first 10 minutes, all goes smoothly. Coleman even leans forward, clearly interested. And then, the projector freezes. The slide on the screen refuses to change. Daniel clicks the remote again. Nothing. A blue error box pops up, connection lost. The room grows uncomfortably quiet. Daniel feels his heartbeat quicken. This is his big chance. He imagines the printer smirking at him from miles away. Technology, once again, conspires against him. It's funny how life has a sense of humor. You learn patience in one place, and immediately, you're asked to apply it somewhere else. In Daniel's case, this wasn't just about a jammed printer anymore. This was about his career, his reputation, his ability to stay composed when everyone's eyes were on him. He takes a breath. Instead of panicking, he smiles faintly. Looks like technology and I are having a rough morning, he jokes. A few chuckles break the tension. He sets the remote down calmly, gathers his printed handouts, and begins distributing them around the table. Good thing I printed these, he adds with a wink. Sometimes the old school way saves the day. Coleman smirks, appreciative of the quick pivot. The team leans in, flipping pages. Daniel continues, walking them through each chart and point, this time without relying on the screen. His voice grows more animated, his storytelling sharper. He uses humor, real-life examples, even a quick reference to his son Ethan building Minecraft empires at home to illustrate growth strategies. By the time he finishes, the room feels engaged, not despite the hiccup, but because of how he handled it. Coleman closes the folder slowly. Well done, Daniel. Adaptability under pressure, that's what leadership looks like. Daniel exhales quietly, a wave of relief washing over him. Later that day, Daniel sits with Lisa and Mark at a deli across the street. The place is quintessentially American. Red booths, chalkboard menu offering turkey melts and club sandwiches, waitresses in aprons refilling iced tea glasses. The air smells of grilled cheese and tomato soup. Lisa leans across the table. You handled that like a pro. If that had been me, I'd have thrown the remote at the projector. Mark nods. Honestly, I was waiting for Coleman to explode. But you stayed calm. Daniel grins, sipping his iced tea. Let's just say I had a practice round this morning, with my printer. They laugh, shaking their heads. Sometimes patience doesn't show up as a quiet meditation or a yoga pose. Sometimes it's a sandwich at a deli, laughing with coworkers because you didn't let frustration win. The lesson wasn't about the printer or the projector, it was about Daniel choosing who he wanted to be in stressful moments. And every time he chose calm over chaos, he was rewiring himself. The workday winds down. Daniel drives home as the sun sets, the sky painted in orange and purple streaks. The neighborhoods glow warmly, porch lights flicking on, kids playing catch on lawns, families gathering for dinner. When he steps inside his house, the smell of spaghetti fills the air. Melissa stirs a pot in the kitchen, while Ethan sits at the table drawing superheroes on loose-leaf paper. How is it? Melissa asks. Daniel loosens his tie, hanging his jacket on the chair. Good. The projector crashed. But I didn't. Melissa turns, raising her eyebrows. Oh, Mr. Patience in action. He chuckles. Something like that. Ethan pipes up. Did you yell at the projector, Dad? Daniel shakes his head proudly. Nope, I stayed calm. Ethan smiles wide. Cool, then you're like a superhero too. The words hit Daniel deeper than expected. He sits beside his son, looking at the scribbled superhero sketches. One wears a cape, another has oversized boots. Ethan hands him a crayon. Draw one with me. And there, after a long day, Daniel draws alongside his son, his superhero wearing a tie and carrying a briefcase. Sometimes the people around us, our kids, our spouses, our colleagues, see the changes before we do. To Ethan, his father wasn't just the guy who fought with printers and projectors. He was the guy who stayed calm, who didn't lose his cool, who showed strength not in shouting, but in patience. And maybe that's the kind of superhero the world needs more of. That night, after dinner and bedtime routines, Daniel steps into his small home office again. The printer sits there silently, almost smug. He looks at the motivational poster on the wall. Patience is not the ability to wait, but how you act while waiting. He chuckles softly, shaking his head. All right, you win. I get it now. He turns off the light, leaving the office in darkness. Life is full of jams, traffic jams, printer jams, schedule jams, emotional jams. We don't get to choose when they happen, but we do get to choose how we respond. Patience isn't weakness. Patience is power. It's the quiet confidence to face frustration without letting it define you. And as Daniel Parker learned, once you find patience in the small things, you carry it into the big things, into meetings, into family dinners, into every corner of life. Because sometimes the greatest victories aren't about speed or perfection. They're about grace in the jam.
Like and subscribe if you want to be happy and motivate.